It's great to be with you all again. And before we begin our presentation, as is commonly our practice, we'll begin with a meditation period. So I invite you to prepare for meditation. We wish to ensure that you're seated comfortable in your seat or however you wish to position yourself. Often it's quite helpful to have your spine upright. But that's not necessary. If you prefer to be lying down, that can be okay too. And just take a moment to close the eyes and let go of the cares of the day. We'll come back from the meditation recharged and rejuvenated, all the more ready to take up the challenges and duties of our mission in life. So with your eyes closed, spine upright if you're seated, hands in your laps, palms down. You could have your legs at right angles if you're seated, feet flat on the floor, if applicable. And take a few deep neutral breaths. That is not holding the inhalation or holding the exhalation. Just enjoy the beautiful rhythm of the body as it breathes. The holy temple of the master within, in harmony with the rhythms and vibrations of the cosmos. And if it's comfortable for you, you may wish to breathe entirely through your nostrils. And that forces us to take deeper breaths, to go deeper in the lungs and feel that cosmic essence or vital life force, going deeper and charging our body. You may start to feel a tingling in your feet or your hands, that invigoration from the oxygen and the vital life force. Now we'll have a period of attunement with the celestial sanctum. We'll apply the law of cosmic attunement. Now to prepare ourselves, we'll use an invocation or a special type of prayer to say, may the divine essence of the cosmic infuse my being and cleanse me of all impurities of mind and body, that I may attune with the celestial sanctum in pureness and in worthiness. And as the Rosicrucians do, to say, so be it in truth, we say, so mote it be. And let us now begin to rise up from the room where you are, the geographic area where you are, up over the home or building you're in, up over the town or village or city or geographic area, and start to take in the exhilarating view below. Inwardly see yourself rising up higher and higher above the county where you are, and now above the state or province where you are, rising faster and faster. We're transcending space and time now, so we can go as fast as we wish. Rise up over the great nation where you are. Radiate love down on it and healing. And keep rising up higher over the hemisphere and continent where you are. And see the beautiful blue jewel of the earth. And radiate love and well-being down to it too as you pass higher and higher up from it. And see the great stupendous harmony and order of the solar system. See the great fiery ball of the sun, the red planet of Mars, the great ring around Saturn, and see the other planets and their stupendous harmony and motion as they revolve and rotate. Now rise higher and higher and see various other stars in addition to our sun. Start to take in the vastness of our great home in the Milky Way galaxy, a great spiraling galaxy. And now rise faster and faster. Give it everything you've got, all your inner spiritual strength to go far faster than the speed of light, transcending space-time continuum. Go right out from the great arm of the spiraling galaxy. the Milky Way, and take in even more the great harmony and order, the universe that we call the cosmos from the Greek word. And see myriad stellar phenomena, black holes and pulsars and quasars and binary stars. See the beautiful colors and vibrations and motion. See other nebulae and galaxies. Many of the galaxies revolving, some and undertaking other motions. Rise faster and faster. And enjoy the ascent. Feel the exhilaration of this special operation of a spiritual nature we can undertake now. Get a great perspective on all the issues of sentient beings in our life from this vast perspective. The Rosicrucians use the term cosmic to refer to all the natural and spiritual laws as a harmonious whole, and the great universal intelligence at the back of this cosmos. Start to ascend further the magnificence of the cosmos and the cosmic now. Rise faster and faster. And as we raise ourselves in the cosmos, will raise us to higher and higher rates of the cosmic consciousness. And in this great journey, we start to sense the entirety of the universe revolving about a great cosmic axis, just like the Earth revolves about an axis. And just as we revolve around the sun, and then our Milky Way galaxy has a great axis. So too, the entirety of the cosmos has a great axis, known from ancient times as the axis mundi, or axis of the world. To sense its great motion is exhilarating. See the seemingly countless stars and galaxies around. As we get closer and closer to the center of the cosmos, move towards the midpoint of the great cosmic axis of cosmos. And as you near it, come to rest there and see your celestial sanctum. It may be an inspiring temple or inspiring place in nature or some other sacred place for you. When you come there, enter into the temple. Feel a degree of exhilaration to be in this special sacred place at the center of the cosmos, at the very center of your being. And you may wish to take a seat there and fill in the sights and sounds that are there. There may be incense or beautiful stained glass windows. There may be a special service, the imperator of our order, the Grand Masters, conducting a convocation. Fill in the sights and sounds of this special place for you now. And as you fill them in, feel increasing that exhilaration from our inner nature coming, flooding forth into our outer nature. Enjoying and being deeply enriched in this experience. And when you've filled in the sights and the sounds and the various other sense stimuli and vibrations, to give a great enriching feeling to the outer nature, turn even more inward and take time to dwell in profound peace, or as the Rosicrucians say, peace profound. As this great peace envelopes you, feel it's not only for you, but for all people on earth and all sentient beings throughout the cosmos. This profound peace for all. Now, friars and sorors and participants, as we continue to experience this deep peace, let us undertake further spiritual operations of the Rosicrucian Order Amorc. I invite you now to participate in the work of the Silent Council in conjunction with the Council of Solace of our order. We will send metaphysical aid to all those who have petitioned the Grand Lodge and all those who have petitioned your affiliate bodies, and to all frontline workers during this pandemic period on the Temple of the Earth, and all those in need at this time. And to all in need, let us radiate love and well-being from your heart and from your mind. Just let it flow from you, just like water from a fire hydrant. Just let it flow out. Just let it happen. And at a certain point, when you radiate this love and well-being, you find that it's being received. It's starting to flow quicker. It's being received by those in need. Once you start to feel that, just let it continue. It'll keep going on its own, so to speak, without conscious effort. And when that happens, take more time to dwell in peace profound, assured that the healing process, the radiating of metaphysical aid is continuing. Now, friars and sorors and participants, we'll formally conclude our period of work of the Silent Council in conjunction with the Council of Solace, but we'll continue our meditation. But to conclude this radiation of the metaphysical aid, let us say together, if it pleases the cosmic, it is done. And let us be assured that this radiation will continue from our being throughout this day and at all times as an act of service. And as we continue to dwell in peace profound, I invite you now to assume the cosmic mind, become the cosmic mind. In a way, transfer your mind to the cosmic mind. You may find this is aided by letting your mind expand throughout the entirety of the cosmos. Picture your mind taking in the entirety of the universe. Be the cosmic, be the universal intelligence. Do so now. Now, before we conclude this period of cosmic attunement with the celestial sanctum, the work and worship of the Rosicrucian Order Amorc, let's apply the law of gratitude, which will automatically further invoke the law of cosmic attunement. To express our thanks to all those who have guided us in this life. The Imperator and the Grand Masters, the class masters, those wise teachers we've had, our parents, or any of those that you feel have guided you well in this life. Express your thanks and love to them now as they express their love and guidance to us. And let us experience gratitude beyond the mystical path and have access to the teachings of the Rosicrucian Order and related to guide us and awaken the master within further for self-mastery. Now, fratres and sorors, participants, let us begin our descent from the heights of the celestial sanctum. Let us pass by myriad galaxies and nebulae at tremendous speed, all the wonderful stellar phenomena and black holes and binary stars and pulsars and quasars and supernovae. Make our way back to the great spiraling galaxy that we call home, the Milky Way, and come back in at tremendous speed through the great arm near where our home, the solar system, is. Pass by more myriad stars and stellar phenomena and heavenly bodies. See the beautiful elliptical motions of the planets of the solar system about the fiery ball of the sun. And see the beautiful blue jewel of our Earth as we come down to the hemisphere where we are and the continent where we are. The country, the province or state, and into our county or municipality. And back to the building or specific geographic area left off, and the house and the room. And we can say together, may the God of my heart sanctify this attunement of self with the celestial sanctum. So mote it be. And when you're ready, you may wish to gradually rebalance your consciousness from the objective consciousness through to the cosmic consciousness, which is imbued in all consciousness. And open your eyes and maybe stretch, and we'll get ready for further work and worship of the Rosicrucian Order today in our presentation. Thank you. Now, our presentation today, again, is meditation in depth. And the Rosicrucian Order is very practical. And that's part of the reason why we experience meditation in depth, even before this formal part of the presentation, by doing meditation. Now, meditation is the key and central practice of spirituality and for the mastery of life. Much progress can be made when it is practiced daily. Sometimes people will enter the meditative state without realizing they are meditating or practicing meditation. However, its regular conscious practice is indispensable for our maturation and well-being. Now, for this presentation, what I'll do is I'll have a series of questions, which I'll provide some answers that'll be thought-provoking for you. You may think of your own ideas in these matters as well. First off, we could say, well, what is meditation? What is the purpose of meditation? Well, we just experienced it, and I know many of you are very experienced meditators, so you have a good sense of these matters already. One thing that's helpful to think of in terms of what meditation is, you can distinguish between it as a technique on the one hand and a state or a condition on the other. Meditation technique takes a variety of forms. We did a particular one that's described in the Rosicrucian Order Landmark book, Liber 777. There'll be various resources that Sora Karen will paste in the group chat before we finish up today that include a link to that very helpful book. If you haven't read it for a while, it's very good to review it, because as we grow and evolve, we see much more in these Rosicrucian documents to enrich us, just as we increase our capacity to understand what's our nature and our life. There's many different techniques. We'll practice a brief period of meditation at the end as well, which will use a slightly different technique, but it'll have the same purpose as our celestial sanctum meditation. Some meditations will concentrate on the breath, close the eyes, and just simply concentrate on the breath. There may be a prayer word or a mantra that goes with it. There may be ideation on the divine within, or concentration between the eyebrows, associated with the pineal gland and to a degree the pituitary gland, spatial psychic centers in the human body. There's also times when there's a particular prayer word that is said that's a longer phrase, and I'll discuss that a little more later. So there's a wealth of different techniques. Another one that I think you're familiar with is the overall exercise of the Rosicrucian Order, where one closes one's eyes and while seated, or it can be done lying down if you prefer, and concentrate on different parts of the body. And we move through the toes and up through the knees and through the legs and the mid-region and up through the body and our various endocrine glands and psychic centers, through the extremities of the arms, all the way to the shoulder and through the heart and into the head. That's another special form of meditation that's great to do daily as well. Very important for our healing and evolution. Now, those are on the techniques, but they're all meant to guide us from an outer state to an inner state. And we recall, in the Rosicrucian Order, we learn about having an outer objective mind, and a subjective mind, a subconscious, and an overarching cosmic mind, and cosmic consciousness that imbues all those minds and consciousnesses. The meditation technique will guide us inwardly through those, so we're able to move our consciousness and dwell more specifically and more focused way in the cosmic, and experience the cosmic consciousness state. And that's often why in meditation there'll be a flooding out of impressions during the meditation or later in the day when the outer mind has something that someone says, or there's something that we do, like crossing a bridge or seeing some inspiring scene that allows the outer mind to clothe that deeper inner experience that was beyond words, beyond language, beyond culture. But it'll use those factors that are in the subconscious mind and in the and the subjective mind and the objective mind to us have a realization. You see, in a way, we're already fully attuned with the cosmic mind. We're already there. It's just in actuality. It's just a matter in reality in experiencing these things. They're always with us. And this is a very inspiring thought to keep in mind. That deep peace is always with us. It's our birthright. Just a matter of realizing it. We're already there in actuality. So a meditative state, you can think of that moving from a borderline state from the more objective and subjective consciousness into the subconscious and even deeper into the cosmic mind. When that state is focused on, that is meditation. Now, sometimes it'll be asked, is prayer the same as meditation, or is it something different? Well, to answer that, it's to realize that there's various different forms of prayer. When we began our meditation in the celestial sanctum, we used a prayer of invocation. And we said, divine essence of the cosmic, infuse my being, and so forth. So there's different ways that we apply prayer as mystics. And by mysticism, we mean the direct experience with reality. And to use the Rosicrucian terminology, you could say direct experience with actuality. The art and science of love, the way of the full maturation, of the human being. Now, there is a type of prayer. In a way, it's the deepest prayer, the interior prayer, the prayer of interiority. That is meditation. It doesn't mean that there has to be an organized religion, because the Rosicrucian order is not a religion. It deals a lot with the matters that religion deals with in deep spirituality. And if you have a chosen religion, I think you'll find learning the Rosicrucian laws and principles and studies will enormously support your understanding of your chosen religion, if you have one. So yes, meditation is a form of prayer, an interior prayer. Sometimes it's asked to, is prayer, or this interior prayer, or meditation specifically, is meditation a form of escape? The simple answer to that is no, period. In fact, it's exactly the opposite. In meditation, you face yourself. That's why often in meditation, we have deep impressions, but we also sometimes experience distractions, the various things going on in our life. I know, for example, if a person's had various challenging experiences, they may experience trauma. It can be challenging to do meditation. And that's why when persons have had trauma, for example, some of the psychologists I work with, they do mindfulness meditation and work with persons who have experienced trauma or post-traumatic stress. Often what is done is that the dosage of meditation is done gradually. The person may only meditate for a minute or two or 5 minutes at a time. And another day, build up. We are facing ourselves in meditation. This is a good thing. I know sometimes it can get concerning that we get distracted, and sometimes we can be hard on ourselves, but there's no need for that. It's all part of the process. Being distracted during meditation and having the mind wandering and coming back to it, that's all part of meditation. As one psychologist has done a profound study of the science of meditation, I said, it's given the analogy, when we bring our mind back to the concentrated meditation, maybe the concentration on the breath, for example, concentration being the celestial sanctum. It's a bit like exercise or calisthenics and doing a push-up. We're gaining more control in a harmonious, good way of the mind so it can focus. And when there is a distraction, just take note of it and come back to focus. And you can view this, when we're being very mindful or mindfulness, we have our attention and our awareness, but we also have the memory to keep coming back to those attentive and aware state in a highly virtuous fashion. And so you see, prayer is not escape as well, in the sense, in this interior prayer, or this meditation is not escape, because when we enter into the cosmic mind, it gives us ideas and impressions. And indeed, part of the purpose of meditation can be, yes, for general enlightenment and that deep experience of peace profound, which gives us a lot of strength to face whatever we have. It's like a little mini retreat, not an escape, a mini retreat to go deeper in, to get better ideas, more truthful understanding of experiences we're going in. We may wish, and we can also, part of the purpose of meditation, wishes to ask a specific question. It needs to be simple, clear, and something that is not readily answered by the other phases of mind. But it needs the infinite resources of the cosmic. And it's good to be simple, clear. It can be like blazing letters, like Dr. H. Spencer Lewis said, in front of our screen of consciousness, or in white, simple white letters with an emotional charge. So it'll go deep into subconscious and deeper into the cosmic. And during the meditation period, then an answer or a clue will come forward, or later if we're attentive to what people are saying or what we're noticing, or things that come forward in our mind. Also, part of the purpose of meditation is that we can re-enter that state during the day. That we can, when there's maybe at a business meeting and there's some challenging decision that needs to be made right away. Often decisions don't, but sometimes they need to be made right away. We can briefly turn inward. We don't even necessarily need to close our eyes, but because we've been meditating regularly, we can turn inward. We have that deeper sense of self that will come forward to help guide us. Sometimes they'll come forward in a very clear way. It'll be more like that still small voice that will be suggested. But in meditation, we make the mind like it's a very still pond. So we're very sensitive to vibrations from others, but also when they well up from ourselves, just like when even a small pebble is thrown in a large pond, you see those vibrations move out. If the pond had been choppy, throwing in that little impression from coming up from the still small voice may not be apparent. But through meditation, we become calm, and we can go throughout our day as calm. Now, I know often that one may meditate and say like, "Oh, I was distracted the whole time. I don't think there was value in that." No, don't be concerned about that. You see, even a brief second in the meditative state has great value. And sometimes you won't experience during the formal period of the 10, 15, 20 minute or longer period of meditation. It's when you get up, you feel like, wow, I didn't realize that was that relaxed. Or, oh, I'm seeing that thing that was stressing me out earlier this morning in a much more truthful way. Or I think I understand what that person means now. Okay, I think that's okay. I see where they're coming from now more. You see, it's very hard for our different phases of the mind to sense duration of time, especially when we move deeper and deeper to the cosmic mind. To draw an analogy, this is often the case that sometimes we may think, wow, I didn't sleep a wink last night or for an hour when I sat down for a nap. Often we have. In fact, I'll tell you, there's a famous story of the profound thinker from the 19th century, Herbert Spencer, who often said, I suffer from not being able to sleep at night. I don't sleep a wink. Well, one time he was visiting with and contact with Professor Sayce was a professor at Oxford, and they shared a hotel room for the night. And Herbert Spencer in the morning said to Professor Sayce, I didn't sleep a wink last night. But what Herbert didn't know is that Professor Sayce was kept up all night because Herbert Spencer was snoring all night. You see, often in meditation, we can think, I'm getting so distracted, but often when you enter into that meditative state, you're not necessarily so aware of the passage of time, and you may be going from being distracted, going deeply into the meditative state when you come back, and then being distracted and coming back. So don't be concerned about this. Also, the distractions may be telling us something important in our life, but you can deal with them afterwards. Just let them go. And another important thing that's part of the training of meditation is that, in a way, that meditation period with distraction is like a little microcosm of the macrocosm of our life. As things happen in our life, as people say things that are rather strong to us, or some challenging thing comes up, or the fridge goes on the fritz, and we've got a dinner that evening we're preparing things for, and we're concerned about this, or the stove is gone from the fridge and so forth. We see these things like the thoughts that come up while we meditate. They're like clouds that are coming into the sky of the mind. We're less fazed by them, and we're more ready to deal with them and think. To concentrate well on solutions, we need to be relaxed. The outer mind can just think at one thing at a time. Unlike the cosmic mind that we're going into, it's infinite in its nature. It can take in all things at once. Part of the value of meditation too is that if we've, sometimes said, well, what's the value of learning about our culture and various laws and principles and so forth? Well, all those things allow us to apply these deeper impressions. They give a clothe these impressions to the outer mind. And if we have a rich resource of images from our reading of poetry or music or study of the sciences, that'll allow the outer mind to draw on those, to picture them together in a way that we can outwardly understand them, you see. Now, sometimes it's asked, how much should I meditate each day? And these things are a personal decision to come from. That's part of the beauty of being a mystical student and a mystic studying the Rosicrucian teachings, is we have to come to see what works for us. Our true teacher is the master within, or the divine within us and come us. I can make a few suggestions, and the guidance is given to us in the Rosicrucian teachings. One thing you'll find to make strong progress on the mystical path and spirituality is to meditate at least an hour a day, 1 hour a day. It doesn't have to be all at the same time. And it can be in different ways. It can be doing the overall exercise, the attunement exercise with the celestial sanctum, or it may be certain other exercises of the Rosicrucian order that are of a psychic nature, but also in effect are meditative in their nature. For example, when we radiate love and well-being and metaphysical aid, that ultimately becomes a form of meditation, especially when that love and well-being starts to flow and we can dwell into the peace profound. Also, when we have the exercise, for example, let me recall concentrating on water in a particular way. I think you'll find that when you do that daily, that actually starts to be a form of meditation as part of your meditation time. Another thing to keep in mind is that in contrast with this, one could ask, well, is it possible to meditate all the time? And the short answer is yes, it is. Now, well, how does one do that? We'll describe a little more later in this. But one can think of, I talked about just taking deep breaths, but it can be at the rate that you wish to breathe. That in itself, especially in the exhale, will stimulate the vagus nerve, a long nerve throughout the body. That'll cause a relaxation response. But if it's done with a deep sense of ideation and spirituality, a sense of well-being for oneself and others, that in itself will start to form a deep form of meditation throughout one's day. No matter what comes up, keep coming back to that sense of ideation. If you wish to concentrate between the brow associated with pineal gland, pituitary, and you do it, you'll find that one's life is deepened and one's capacity to dwell in this life and take meditation into one's sleep. And one has a more spiritual form of dreaming, especially when we keep track of it. And it's good to have a diary to keep track as impressions come to you. Put them down, because that'll often help them more real to the outer mind as we express them or clarify our thoughts. Nothing like writing to clarify our thoughts. And when we've had a clear impression, usually it could be distilled as a short phrase of the alchemical distillation that we'll remember for the rest of our life. The same with dreaming. We have a diary for recording our dreams. They can be spiritualized through our meditation practice and our purpose, and they'll become clearer and more easy to interpret them as they work with the symbols of the subconscious. Now, sometimes it's asked, does the practice of contemplation increase the effectiveness of meditation? The answer is yes. And by contemplation, I mean taking time out each day to reflect. A good time to do is often before or after one's done meditation. A particularly good time in that regard is if one's just done something very intensive in terms of work or got through some challenging situation. Good time then not just immediately start up work again, but take some time to reflect. And when we reflect, often too, the outer mind doesn't have to have an agenda. On this topic. Often we can go and mull over what the inner self is revealing to us. It knows exactly what's going on far more than our outer nature. And that's why we want to get in this dialogue of the outer nature with the inner nature. Who we truly are is of that inner nature. And as it impresses itself on it, there often will be surprising impressions, but deep down, it'll be something we were aware of already, because, as I said, we're already fully realized in actuality. It's just a matter of realizing it. And then it can be complete. And then there's a part of the value of that contemplation is, in a way, it'll supercharge the meditation, because doing it before or after, a lot of those impressions that came up in meditation will come flooding forward, because when we reflect on things, we can keep our eyes open, but we're not dwelling on the physical. We're moving back into that borderline state, but not as deep as meditation. It's true when you speak to a good friend, you can have a lot of to and fro exchange and express heartfelt things, but that is different from reflection. When we speak with a friend, we tend to keep on going back to the outer state. In reflection or contemplation, we're moving more to that borderline state where the deeper impressions can come out more easily. And it's good to do before or after meditation. Persons that used it to great effect, for example, was the contemplative and mystic Fred Rogers. He's known as Mr. Rogers, and he helped transform children's programming, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. He would get up at 5 a.m. to do meditation and prayer and reflection. And then he could assess his life and be more charged and ready and calm for the day. And then after that, he would swim. So it's good to balance the physical activities with all these inner exercises, calisthenics, toning, swimming, walking, all these things. Great to do, have that balance with building up the holy temple. So it's all the more healthy and ready to be receptive. Another mystic that used contemplation and meditation to great effect, including when she was in the Crimea, charged with taking care of the nursing of the wounded soldiers, Florence Nightingale. She would take time out each day to do meditation and contemplation. That gave her a great font of strength to be with the soldiers and minister to them and guide what needed to be done with the other nurses and their contact with the doctors. It was said that when in those days, that was before anesthesia. So the soldiers had heard of her power, and she would come into the room and do some of the nursing duties, but also stand with them and inwardly go through the pain with them. And this was a great comfort to the soldiers because they were attuning with her cosmic attunement and the healing that she was able to express to them. And this was part of her lost service, but it was also supercharged by doing the contemplation with the meditation, but also because she was fulfilling her mission in life. When we're fulfilling our mission in life, the inner self, the cosmic, will declare itself even stronger in us. This is part of the true meaning of knighthood. You know, another person had a great healing effect, not only directly as a healer in the profession like Florence Nightingale, but also like Fred Rogers, the healing he had for parents and children. Guidance was also another great spiritual seeker and student of mysticism of the United States. That's Elvis Presley. You know, when he set up his home, Graceland, one of the things that he did early on in 1964, 1965 was set up a meditation garden. You can go still there. He appreciated the great value of being a spiritual seeker and doing meditation and contemplation. And we see that with that added, just like with Florence Nightingale, had that added dimension for healing. He had that added dimension for taking people deeper into spirituality and healing through his gifts and development through song. And again, he was a person fulfilling his mission in life, like Fred Rogers and Florence Nightingale. So he sensed that added strength and power there, the cosmic nature, not a power in a worldly way or part of charisma, but something much deeper that helps attune us to them, just like two turning forks, the same frequency. One sounds, the other does. You know, another question that's sometimes asked about meditation, is it mentioned in sacred text? And the answer is yes, it is mentioned extensively. Often in sacred texts we've been reading for years without realizing it. For example, if we take the Bible, I think particularly the Hebrew Bible, the book of Ezekiel. There, the practice of meditation is quite profoundly described by Ezekiel. You know, it's helpful in looking at the translation of the Bible. There's a word, hitzbogatuk, which means literally self-isolation. But actually, when you look at the sacred texts and writings that have come down to us, the Zohar and others, and profound writers and rabbi such as Ari Kaplan in his book Meditation and the Bible, and things that he learned by his masters in the tradition, in other words, the Kabbalah, that this isolation refers, yes, to an exterior isolation like going to a cave or a desert up on a mountain, but referred to more strongly as an interior isolation to go within ourselves. And quite strikingly, in Ezekiel's vision of the wheels, he gives us something that we don't commonly have. A seer, a prophet, which essentially means a mystic, is telling us their meditation technique. Now, for example, when it talks about that he saw a stormy wind coming from the north and a dark cloud and a flashing fire, the Zohar explains that these are different mental states that the mystic experienced. For example, when you first start meditating, you may feel the storminess within yourself and all the conflicts and all the challenges, and they're coming to the surface. This is the stormy wind. This is one of the deeper interpretations of the Bible in regard to meditation. And then everything blanks out. It's like a dark cloud. And you're in a deep cloud. And you feel there's no place to go. You feel like you're lost. And next you see the light, that deep inner light. And there's a dark fire, a glowing. And then comes the silence, the chasmal. And that's where the profit of the experience unfolds. There's the visions that come forward. But this is what we do in meditation. So the meditation practice is being described there. You know, it's related to that, another prophet Elijah and a mystic, you know, 1 Kings 19. You know, there's often a phrase that's used there that of a still small voice. But when you look at what's before that, it mentions that after the earthquake, the fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire, a still small voice where the Lord was. See, there in a deeper mystical interpretation, they're describing going inward in meditation and tuning with the cosmic. Recall too, I'll mention a little bit more about sacred texts and then we'll close up shortly. But, you know, we earlier had a teleconference dealing with the mystical ark of Noah, and Hugh, one of the great mystics of the Middle Ages, Hugh St. Victor, and others described how the voyage in Noah's Ark is like the technique of meditation. There has to be, you see, part of that association with meditation traditionally, not only a term of self-isolation, but there's also the idea of unification. These are very important concepts with meditation for us today even. Self-isolation inwardly and unification. You know, the gathering up, you know, we're rising up of the choppy waters of the great flood in the Noah's Ark. That's like we're letting go of the distractions where things are going. We're making a mini retreat to recharge and strengthen ourselves as we journey in Noah's Ark. But we have all the animals, the different phases of ourselves. We're unified in them. And we have this deep sense of calm and journey and purpose to paradise to the east. And the dove comes and descends on us. Also, another profound student of the Middle Ages is a great mystic and a student of Hugh of St. Victor, was Richard of St. Victor. He did the same thing, essentially, that Hugh of St. Victor did for Noah's Ark, for the tent of meeting and the tabernacle. But you know how there's an inner and outer precincts of the tabernacle. As you move in from the tabernacle, you purge yourself. This was a technique of meditation that Richard St. Victor, one of the great Western mystics, describes. As you pass through the different parts, the inner and outer parts of the tabernacle, you come through passive rites of lustration, through the different phases of mind and three eyes of seeing that Richard talks about, to the most innermost seeing. You come to the Holy of Holies. That's where you come to the place of stillness, readiness for cosmic attunement. You know, another place I'll mention in sacred text, but there's many where it's mentioned is, I mean, I know many of you have a profound understanding of the Hindu tradition. You know, we can encourage in the Rosicrucian order to learn more about these sacred texts of the world, but interpret them in a mystical way. And the Bhagavad Gita is a great one in that. In fact, it's chapter 6 is the yoga of meditation. And it's very profound on how to do meditation and how to deal with distractions. Also in Hinduism's various sacred texts, such as the Vishnu Purana and the Bhagavata Purana and Ramayana. There's a story, it's very profound, called the churning of the ocean, the churning of the Milky Ocean or the cosmic ocean. It talks about this great action that takes place between the gods, the Deva and the Asura. And they stop their warfare and they work together by taking Mount Muro and a great serpent, Vasuka, which wraps around Mount Muro. And the Deva gods on one side and the Asura pull back and forth, and they start to cause Mount Muro like a great cosmic axis to rotate round, back and forth. And when that's done, there's various precious objects rise up from the Milky Ocean, just like in the process of making butter and cheese. And finally, what comes out is amrita, or an elixir that gives everlasting life. Now, part of what's related in the story, an allegorical way, is a creation story. Part also is a microcosmic story about the yogic principles of Kundalini yoga and the sacred centers that are in the body and the practice of meditation. This churning is part of the action as we turn inward and let go of those distractions and outer mind's turbulence. We move inward to that spiritual action that's associated with the cosmic axis that's in our spine. The two major axes that are referred to. There's a turtle at the bottom in this story. That's the very sort of the roots, a spiritual center. At the top, where Vishnu is the preserver, is the top or crown spiritual center. And this action on the cosmic axis is those two important channels that are discussed in yoga. Okay, so that's to give you some sense of where meditation is mentioned in sacred texts. So the last thing I'm going to address is a question. It's a little more unusual, but it's what was the meditation technique used by the traditional Rosicrucian Magister Johannes Kelpius in his historic cave now, Fairmount Park in Philadelphia? Well, one way to come to an answer of that question is that there's actually a text that we have called A Short, Easy, and Comprehensive Method of Prayer that was been translated from the original German into English. And it's said to have been written by Magister Kelpius. And it describes in the prayer of interiority. It has a very, it's like the prayer of the heart that's known earlier in spirituality, for example, in the Orthodox Christian tradition, the Theokalia talks about the prayer of the heart. You see, Magister Kelpius talks about continual repetition of a prayer word and being still. He has a beautiful description there. It says, in the begin meditation, he says, thus it is necessary in the beginning to kindle the fire by working, but afterwards, once it is kindled, let it burn. And when it is done, so you see this whole analogy with starting a fire. So could be in a fireplace, for example. When it is done, then the soul has no more to do the whole time of prayer, but to remain in peace and silence, endeavoring to continue in this loving embrace of God, who is truly present in her as he is in heaven. And he talks part of the basis of this is from the first letter of Paul to the Thessalonians 5:17, to pray without ceasing. He talks about a prayer without ceasing in addition to the formal periods of meditation he recommends to us. To finish up, we're going to have a brief practice of that prayer that's indicated by Magister Kelpius. And then we'll have, to conclude that, there'll be a brief video on the peace, specifically the Amorc contribution to peace. So this time, I'll let Karen paste into the group chat before we finish up the resources for the day that you can, click on the three dots in the right-hand corner to do a save chat or copy and paste them out. And once you've got those saved, if you wish, turn inward again like we did before. And when you're ready, just concentrate on your breath, in and out. But think of the breath as like the great operations in the cosmos that you're attuning with. Like the vowel sound Om, which is closely related, as Dr. H. Spencer Lewis indicated to us, the sacred vowel sound Omen. Just breathe in and out gradually. Let's keep Magister Kelpius's thought in mind that in the beginning, to kindle the fire by working, as we're doing now. But afterwards, once it is kindled, let it burn. So concentrate on the breath. But when you're ready, you can let go of that more. Just let it happen. Just let the fire burn. And when it is done, and the soul has no more to do in the whole time of the prayer, but to remain in peace and silence, endeavoring to continue in this loving remembrance of God, who is truly present in her as he is in heaven. Continue with the breath, going deeper in. You may sense like you're going deeper within yourself, deep in the cave. You may wish to think of yourself in the cave, Fairmount Park, meditating with the spiritual master, Magister Kelpius, going deeper and deeper into the cave within yourself as you kindle the inner fire. Let us say inwardly the vowel sound Amen. Just say it inwardly. It's a mystical word that can be employed to bring about cosmic attunement and one in this highest spiritual sense, as past imperator H. Spencer Lewis said. Let's say it now together, inwardly. Just continue with the inner breath as we do. I'll say some concluding remarks before we have our video. We have discussed various questions on meditation, done some meditation exercises, and considered how to practice meditation transforms and enriches our lives. Meditation helps us build a strong foundation in our lives. The ultimate foundation is the divine within, unshakable and infinite. We engender in this way our receptivity to intuitive impressions through meditation and contemplation that make for the most direct and sure-wise counsel in our daily lives. In this matter, meditation increases our capacity for service. We're more able to assist ourselves and others in healing and evolvement. In this matter, we're guided by the Master within to attain a high degree of success and happiness at home and in our careers, and self-mastery. And central to this process is meditation. Now, friars and sirs, when participants, when you're ready, you may wish to open your eyes and we'll view the video of Amor, Contribution to Peace, for our closing.